Hey guys, this is miicrow here. Today's video I wanted to specifically talk about gems in T2 because there was something kind of sneaky done that we can get a glimpse of thanks to Joel, and thanks for Crush for in Discord for pulling a bunch of images of stuff that Joel was mentioning. But Joel from the New World team has been like giving us some info on what's coming in Season 10 to help clarify some things mentioned in the dev video, and now we're getting to the point where new stuff is uh, getting added as well. So we are seeing a glimpse of everything now. Like we see this artifact bow that Joel is pointing out, which looks like it could be really, really powerful for bow players if they're looking to kind of pull people into an area and then do more AoE styles of damage. Just has some really big potential there because direct hits with poison shot will trigger a vortex pulling in nearby enemies and spawning a 5 meter infected cloud that follows the hit target for 10 seconds. It doesn't specifically say how big the pull is, but that is noteworthy. And the main thing I wanted to talk about today was something that is coming with the old crown change. So on the left, we could see the current old crown. On the right, we could see the old crown that Joel talked about in the Discord. And if you pay attention to here, and if you're uh, really, really detail oriented, you might notice that, hey, that elemental ward says 2%. It doesn't say 2.5%. Hey, that rune glass adds up to 2%, which directly means that all rune glass gems have the same weight as the regular gems now. So the point that that brings up is rune glass is basically always better than your current gems. You still have to use current gems if you have the gem slot on like your jewelry because there's no rune glass variant of that. But for everything else, for your weapons, for your armor, rune glass is inherently better. So I wanted to kind of take some time and specifically talk about rune glass. If you did not figure out that the rune glass was strictly better, you are a little bit late to the game, but I don't think you are extremely late. So if you look at like ancient globs, on Valhalla, which is the most popular US East server, we could see, like, generally speaking, the prices hopped up a lot. These were like 80 gold yesterday. Today, I'd say, probably 135 to 150. Like, people are buying them up. It's clear that people are going to be using rune glass because there's no really downside for not doing so. You can kind of just go down the list of like the different cases. The cases, I think themselves, the prices on here haven't necessarily jumped yet because people posted these before. Okay, so this is a new post. This is 3 days. So this is a new one. But like in all the material that are used for those has gone up too. So I've snagged up a couple things. Like I have just cheap ones that I'm like looking to flip. But like I know above glyphs, I got a couple. Those are going up a lot. We have Sun, which is used for fire gems. Those are kind of spiking. Like you see new buy orders for them because people are like, oh wait, these are actually going to be used for a lot of roles. You probably see it with like Void, etc. So all those kind of glyphs from Brimstone Sands and all those different rune glasses are going to go up in price dramatically. So I figure we can kind of go through the different rune glass cases for people that are a little bit less aware of them and kind of what they do. So we got the rune glass case of leeching would be the first up. The main thing here for leeching rune glass is that it will give you a heal. If you put it on armor, it will be less. It has an inherent cooldown, which is one of the reasons why it hasn't typically been as used in the past. But again, there's no downside for putting this in there. So like if you're doing PvE content, you're a little bit more solo. Getting a heal off your hits is not necessarily like a bad thing. Like it's a nice utility thing to have, even if the value is kind of low. Uh, so I don't know if this one's like really like worth spending a ton of money on, but it's still like good utility for people that need it. We've got energizing rune glass. I think this is one that is going to be used a lot more, especially for heavy players, because they've said that light players get 3 dodges, the new system, medium players get 3 dodges, but heavy players only get access to 1 dodge. So by using this, if you do a dodge, you hit somebody, then you don't have to wait for your stamina to regenerate. You can just immediately double dodge after that and end up with 3 dodges. So this is at least good to have a one of as a heavy player. Uh, it only gives you 1 stamina, but that's usually enough to get to that 3 dodge threshold, assuming that they keep the dodge amount the same. So it's like if they give you 100 stam, and each dodge takes 50 stam and heavy, then you will get 101 effectively with this, and then they can do a triple dodge, which is really, really nice. We've got siphoning. Siphoning, I kind of forget what this effect even does. Let's see. So, oh, this is just lightning damage absorption, and it gives you. So the lightning damage doesn't matter. It's the mana on hit. Mana on hit probably isn't that strong. This is probably not one that's like super worth investing. I mean, there's a few classes that like it's nice to have mana, but considering it has a 2-second cooldown, I don't think it's like super, super needed. Just like buy mana potions, use those instead. Even though mana potions prices are kind of going crazy right now, it's probably not really worth getting too involved with that. Igniting will boost the damage of fire that is outgoing. This 2% damage outgoing bonus, I believe, is Empower, but that's something that we can double check if we go to New World Buddy before I debate everybody. So this is like something I know like Void Blades, like basically anyone that uses elemental stuff tends to use these Runeglass, like even on the current live. And it's just like worth doing. So let's look up this exact thing. So damage percent, 50%, that's the normal. Damage fire. Okay, so yeah, that is boosting by Empower. So this is an Empower boosting effect. Empower is a little bit less important than base damage, but it is still really, really nice for certain weapons like Blunderbuss. So this is noteworthy. This will probably be like the Runeglass case of igniting will probably go up in value. Freezing is a similar thing, but it's for ice, so it boosts the damage of freezing effects. Abyss will boost the damage of void. Abyss is like really, really special because it's used for like Void Gauntlet. It's used for like the Great Axe artifact. There's just like a good amount of weapons that use it, and it tends to drive a premium. It tends to be a little bit higher priced. It uses Shadow Glyph stones. These are kind of expensive. They aren't that crazy expensive right now. Let me go back to this so I could see what materials it uses. Chaos. These are also kind of expensive, so you're gonna need 5 of those each, right? So that's roughly looking at like 1k gold from that alone. They're at 4k right now, so they're at a little bit of a premium if you just don't make them yourself. But expect these to be heavily used. Now, if we go down the line further, we got electrifying. So this is boosting the damage of your lightning effects. There's currently like no main lightning damage weapon except for the artifact bow, of which we just saw a new artifact bow, and people might swap over to that. So I'd say it's like mostly niche, and I wouldn't really worry about that one too much. Nature will boost the damage of nature. Not that insane in my opinion. We got empowering. Like I just don't think there's a lot of nature damage oriented effects, so I don't think it's that good. Empowering is arcane damage, so this one's really, really good for anyone that's using the artifact greatsword. So this one's probably worth keeping an eye out for. So if you look at like Runeglass case of empowering on a TP, it's probably gone up a bit. Yeah, yeah. I mean they're very expensive. And then you look at night glyphs, like these are crazy expensive. So that's like 5k, right? To make just the lightning part alone, and then the sealed isn't that bad, but it's just for in order to get that like night glyph, like that's going to be the part that's mainly limiting. Expect this to be heavily used too, because if bruisers want to do more damage with detonate, this would be a way to do that. So I wouldn't be surprised if like a lot of bruisers look to take advantage of this effect, and if a lot of kind of great sword users look to take advantage of this effect. You technically could take advantage of it on flail if you're going for like a one-shot flail combo build, but I don't think that's like a really common thing to see. So a few different options there. That one's one to look out for. I think the 2 big ones are probably empowering and then abyss and igniting. So like those 3 are probably the biggest ones. Energizing, I could see a little bit of being used too. We have punishing. So if you look at the crafting recipe for this, so punishing increases your melee attacks by 1% base damage, noteworthy not empower, and I believe this has an internal cooldown on it, which is one of the reasons why it's not used as much compared to the alternative effect. So if we look at just melee armor, Yeah, there's an activation cooldown of 1. So the thing here is it won't really work on AoEs versus the empowering one that is tied to uh elemental oriented weapons. That one does not have an activation cooldown, which is why it tends to be a lot better. But this one's still not bad. It's like it's free damage, so it's something that people might use. If Bruce want to do 5% more damage per attack, like, or 5% more base damage per attack. Like, this is an easy way to do that. So just something to look out for, I guess. And then sight, I believe, is ranged, and this is the last one where it will increase the damage of your ranged attacks. Um, I don't think that the ranged and melee ones are going to be absolutely insane, but they're still very competitive. The ones that are like for sure going to be used is like the ones that are like lightning through empowering on this list. 100% those get used. The other ones are like kind of weak, and that's why they weren't really used before, and people were going for the gems. This because the gems gave a little bit more protection, and it just wasn't really worth the cost. But expect to see some of these used heavily in season 10. Expect to see them present on a lot of pieces of armor, both in PvP and I imagine in PvE as well. The one weird part about PvE is like PvE players like to switch out their gems a lot. So even though these are like bis for PvE potentially, I could see people not wanting to like put Runeglass in their PvE equipment because it would just cost too much gold per run to keep switching gems back and forth. But something I thought was interesting that it was implied by what was there with the old crown, and you probably would have missed if you weren't super detail oriented. The other thing, like related to the old crown, is it obviously gives less attributes, but there's less attributes across the board. So this will still probably get you above a threshold that is important. So I imagine this will still be good. And then it looks like these two other gem slots are swappable as well from the image. So this has the potential to use 3 rune glass in like one piece, which is kind of crazy. I imagine Old Crown is still going to be very, very strong in PvE just because the access to more gems is like amazing. Before you could only swap one of these, it looks like you're going to be able to swap multiple, and it looks like the kind of weird gems that weren't actually gems. So like the 3% physical one, the 3% elemental one got converted to be normal ones there as well. So Old Crown getting a little bit of a differentiator, still expected to be strong in PvE, still to be a strong artifact, but thought this would be a nice tip for you guys and to look at your servers to see what the prices are before they kind of go bananas. With that being said, I will see you guys later. Peace.